In the YByte Algorithms and Olympiad track, we'll be using Google Colab as our platform for development and practice. In this video, I'll give you just a very quick introduction to what Google Colab is. My focus is how we can get started using it. Obviously, this is a very large platform. This is a very powerful, popular platform. Just like any other platform, the more time we spend on it, the more familiar you get. I encourage you to explore. However, from our point of view, let's just see how we can get started and get moving. As this note says here, Colab is a hosted Jupyter Notebook service, requires no setup, free access to computing resources, well suited to machine learning, data science, and education. Clearly, why we are interested in this as well. Now, in order to sort of get moving, the most important term is this term called notebook. You notice there's notebook in several places in the in the sheet here. In fact, I can create a new notebook from here, or I can also open Colab, which I can also do directly. So I can just go to colab.research.google.com. Make sure you are in your Google account, as I can see from here. Now I get a window saying open notebook. I can for now just create, let's say, a new notebook. Now the way to think about notebook is a web page that I can edit where I can put code as well as text. Now this is really cool. No setup required. So for example, the moment I start this, the extension for the notebook is .ipynb. So that's a notebook. That's basically like a Python notebook. I get a cell where I can start coding. So I can write, for example, any Python code, right? So I can just say print, for example, hello world. Now, in order to run this, all I need to do is to, let's say, click on this button. Now, it takes a while for the first time. It says, for example, connecting to Python 3. But then it gets done and you see the output over here. Let's say I want to add more code to this. I can just go and click another cell which has code. So, for example, I can write maybe A is 10. Let's say, print, for example, type of A. And then say I put one more print statement, say A plus, let's say 10. I'm just doing something, right? So when I do this, you notice it tells me, look, A was an integer, clearly A is an integer, and A plus 10 is 20. So this code runs when I, let's say click on this, this button here, right? Now, this is very interesting because what I can do is to define, for example, a function in a cell and then use that function just like I would use it elsewhere, right? So really, at let's say first level, this is your Python shell, this is your Python interpreter for you to interact with in interactive mode. You write your code, you can see its output very fast without any setup, all inside your browser, right? But this is not all. A notebook is more than just these cells of code. In fact, I can also add a text. So for example, I add a text and I say, this is my first notebook. I mean, I could put any text. In fact, we can format this. I am liking it, right? So, I can go and say, let's say, for example, I want to put this in italics. I can just go and say, say so much fun, right? So when I, for example, close this, so I get, let's say, so I close the preview, I get something like this, right? Now, again, I can go and create a code after this. I can go and create a text. So that makes it very nice because, this becomes like really a place where code as well as your own notes, your own, let's say, text can go side by side. Now, like I said, as we'll do more of this, you'll get more and more familiar with it. Every project will be done in Colab. So we'll provide you a notebook for the class. We'll provide you a notebook for your homework. And, you'll get more and more familiar with it, like I said, as you start using it. Now, one thing I want to highlight before I move forward, which is that, look, once you finish your work, this notebook will be saved. So you can just go and say file and you can just go and say save this, save a copy in your drive, which means that it gets saved in your Google Drive. In a subsequent video, I'll tell you how to, let's say, enable other people to view it or to edit it. We'll talk about this when I get about talking to, when I show you how to, let's say, submit your projects for, let's say, your homeworks and so on, right? The interesting bit is also this, that you can save this in GitHub. So if you have a GitHub repository, you can in fact save your, your work in GitHub. So that becomes quite nice. For example, over here, I have this, repository that I'm creating for the course, YByte Algorithms. And here I've saved my first class as a, this notebook, in my GitHub repository. So, very nice. It's all integrated. But for now, if you're new to this, don't get, let's say, overwhelmed. All you need to do is to go to colab.research.google.com, click on a new notebook, and then you can get started. Alternatively, as we'll see later, you will get notebooks from the class website to get started. You can take them as a base to also move. So many ways to move forward, but important bit is to keep moving because that is the best way to learn. Before I wrap this up, I just want to highlight that all these new tools, new platforms that we learn, they are basically a part of our journey of learning programming. They are taking us deeper into that journey. Keep in mind, forever enjoy coding because this is always a creative enterprise. Does not matter which tool you use. In fact, these tools are so beautiful, so well thought out that they'll make your journey very, very enjoyable. Take care. Thank you so much. Bye bye.